Let's call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Eurig here. Lynch.
Here.
Watson.
Here.
Tisch absent. Okay. You have before you the minutes of the July 14th meeting. Which you got a chance to read, make comments on.
Make a motion and approve as presented. Second.
Okay, one moment. Okay, approve and waive the reading of the minutes of the July 14th regular meeting as presented. Okay, any further discussion? If not, roll call. Lynch?
Yes.
Watson?
Yes.
Eurig, yes. Okay. Fiscal officer could not make it tonight. She did, however, give the payment listing and the fund status reports, the cash summary by fund. Look those over. What your thoughts are on those?
Yeah, I just have one here, David, and more for Morgan, if you can make sure with Chris, as far as the account for the payment advice to Edwards Landscaping, number 13680, for $4,300. That should be paid with the grant funds that we received for the tree canopy maintenance. Now that we've actually received an invoice and have it in, I didn't look at the, if there was the PO there to indicate the right account, but that should come from those grant funds. And make sure that happens.
On that topic, does that exhaust all the grant funds that we had for the note? I know we had that 1,500 still.
That's what we had. This one did not, but there's another one that's on the Stubb Street of Moss Canyon where Lumos was staging. And I think, Kevin, you've got a quote on that already of $2,800.
Yes.
And so it's, you know,
Tap it out with that.
that'll take care of that, but then you've got the funds for the next year. But at least that will exhaust the amount of funds that we had to spend before the end of 2026.
Okay, just
Right.
wanted to make sure we weren't leaving anything on the table.
Right. Yeah, that'll take care of it, Jeremy. So this one doesn't, but the next one will.
Okay.
Well, at this point, if there's no further discussion, I will make a motion to approve the financial reports and payment of items on the payment listing as specified in documents provided by the fiscal officer.
Second.
Okay, motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call. Eurig, yes. Watson?
Yes.
Lynch?
Yes.
Okay. Second item, in your packet, you should have the credit card transaction detail report.
It's in the green folder. We don't have one in our packet, do we, Dave?
You should.
I have one here. Is this right?
Yes, you should have one in your packet from Chris. Check the one with your bills.
Buried in here, maybe.
Bill. Well, I saw the one in the packet, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah, you can just...
Here.
You have a copy there.
Yep.
Are there any questions on that? If not, I would make a motion to accept the credit card account transaction detail has been reviewed per policy. The card statement is accepted as presented, subject to investigation.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion on the credit card detail report? If there is no further discussion, roll call. Eurig, yes. Watson?
Yes.
Lynch?
Yes.
Next item. Nothing further from the fiscal officer. At this time, I would like to welcome those in attendance at the meeting. If you have any concerns, please step to the microphone and State your name and what your concern is. There are no concerns.
They have it's basically a complaint with a neighbor. Do you guys want to come up to the microphone and? I can kind of preface it if you guys want. I've been in discussion with them for a while. This is regarding the home that burned down on Rice Road. It's been a very frustrating issue for them. There has been law enforcement and a lot of other things involved, but they wanted to come and present everything that had happened and see if there was anything we could do to help them out.
Would you be able to read my statement
Sure.
that I wrote?
Yeah. So this is Cassidy Bailey, 48076 Rice Road. Unsafe conditions on property at 48096 Rice Road. Resident living intense post July 3rd, 2026 fire on the property. There is no running water, electricity, or sanitation. The resident builds fires while intoxicated and leaves the property. I believe there are multiple zoning resolutions being violated, along with continuous violations made by this resident against our civil stalking protection order. He is a danger to himself and other residents. Other neighbors are scared to speak up and fear being his next target.
Yeah, this dates back to August 10th of 2024, when there was unsafe shooting practices happening at a 30-degree angle to our bedroom window. We have video that has been provided, which gave us our protection order against this individual. The shots could easily hit our home. They were under the influence of alcohol and drugs. The only interactions that my husband, Mark Bailey, and myself had with him are on November 10th, 2024. There was a sick deer. My husband let David know that he was going to be behind his property to clear the area looking for the deer that had blue tongue. At that time, there was a verbal altercation between my husband and David Lusler, and David called him some names and racial slurs and derogatory terms that are on record with the courts. As well as I have copies here for you to view photos of things that he's left in our mailbox. My first interaction with him personally was not until, let me just 1 second here. June 30th. No, I'm sorry, that's incorrect. I'm looking for where he confronted me in the Dollar General. I don't have it listed for some reason.
It
But
was around June.
around June, he confronted me inside of the Dollar General that is on Milan Avenue. Told him he needed to leave, and because he knows that we have the protection order in place. So that was the only time I have spoken with him. He has put multiple dead rodents in our mailbox.
I'll just say real quickly, with the incident at Dollar General, the Amherst police did come and get involved. They cited him for public intoxication because he urinated on the outside of the Dollar General. He was riding his bike at the time too, so they should have been arresting him for an OVI, but he wasn't physically riding his bike at the time. He had to park in front of the Sunoco where he was sitting when they came over to cite him and take him into custody at the time, which they just took him home to release him.
In addition to the dead rodents that he has placed in our mailbox, he has tried to burn down our mailbox. He has stolen a bird feeder, which was returned to me by Deputy Zante and Sergeant Fursey. That is still a pending case, which he has an arraignment scheduled, or a pretrial hearing, I believe, on August 26th. And, there's been things like he's put his prescription bottles in trash in our mailbox. He's stolen our mail.
Have you talked to the post office on that?
Yes,
That's
we
right,
have filed
doing that.
multiple complaints with the postal inspectors.
And official complaints on the actual arson and theft of mail and leaving the dead rodents and everything. So I opened that, followed up with them again, still have not heard anything from them.
All right,
I think I've given Jeremy a copy of about 21 police reports that we've had over the past 2 years. Things have severely escalated, especially since April. The change in viewpoint happened for him on August 17th, 2025. There was wild oats growing between properties. Those were cut down. He could see me. He started obsessing. At one point in time, he loaded a firearm. He stared me down, and he shot 6 shots into the ground.
He was standing at his bonfire facing towards the north of the property, but he
Which I
was
have pictures
literally
of.
turned towards her. And
And he was screaming and acting very erratic.
that's what caught her attention. She couldn't even understand what he was saying, but then he fired the gun into the ground 6 times. I heard her in the back, and I went up to the front after I heard the first gunshots.
did
and
she
I
have
looked- I'm sorry.
family or relatives in the area?
Possibly one sister.
And he
according-
has people who check in on him.
Well, obviously, somebody needs to be made aware of his situation. He probably should not be having a firearm.
He states
Yeah,
that
but
he
that's
does not
something
own.
that friends and relatives need to take care of. That's not,
He-
Yeah.
He stated at the court that he does not own or possess any firearms and that.
well, he has one in his hand, he has some kind of possession.
The one incident, as I was stating, I walked up to the front and then I watched him reload and fire another 6 directly. So I witnessed essentially what happened the first time, the second time. When the police went over there, he showed them a blank starter pistol that he had just got, and he goes, "What? It's just a toy." So,
After the fire, he put up a sign. It could be read one of 2 ways. It is included in the packet that I handed to Jeremy, and he placed a sign in his front yard that said, Arson Bailey. Our last name is Bailey. We have a civil stalking protection order against this man. He's already tried to burn down our mailbox. There's obviously reason to believe that he tried to burn down his own home. He's starting fires, leaving the property. He has no means to put them out other than a shovel. He's stealing electricity and water from neighbors. Other neighbors are afraid to say anything because they don't want to be his target. Other neighbors have been his target. He's been stealing from the Townsends. He's been stealing from an older lady who the Townsends looked after, who lives diagonal across. There's other people in the area who are concerned for their families and their pets and everything, but nobody wants to get involved because they don't want to be David's next target. He's been targeting Bob Horvath and throwing cans and things at his property for years.
he included stealing their trash cans, his large trash cans that the police had to go back and the sheriffs had to go return to Bob.
Yeah.
Could you guys just elaborate on, one, as we've talked, I am surprised over and over that the sheriff hasn't been, taking care of the situation. But as far as anything we can do, we discussed if there's a zoning violation, and that's something that Ryan's been active with
Yeah.
and dealing with the Lorraine County Public Health. But who told you that you should be talking to the township residents specifically? Was that the sheriff's department, or who specified that?
Yeah, both sheriff department and the
And the
bailiff from the
bailiff.
Overland Court.
Said to come and talk to
Yes.
the township. Okay.
They said that was the only way that it could basically encourage anyone else to go do anything about it, whether it's the sheriffs or police or anything.
Yeah. So what can we do to help these guys?
Our responsibility might be in zoning. He has a collection of items there perpetually for sale.
Yes.
There's a question on that, and that's a business, you know.
And it's around an unsafe structure at this
Okay,
point.
and the second thing is the status of that structure. That would be not under zoning, but that would be under nuisance law. And some of that may be handled by the health department. We may have to contact the prosecutor on that. On that. Ryan, do you have a violation on that or on this property? Have you done anything with this?
At this time, I have no violation. I've been in contact with public health, and they are in control of the situation. They told me that they're giving him a few days to get his stuff, and they're doing their best to try to get him out of there. That's the only information I have on that property.
Okay. Any idea on what to do with the cleanup on that, or?
As far as complaints I have been given, I haven't been given any complaints other than the house being burnt down. That's all I know about the property.
Something has to give on that house, and we have to investigate, find out on that. Whether it needs to be completely torn down, or whether
I mean, I know
somebody's going to try to rebuild. I don't know.
To Chris Nyhart, he said that it's still under an active investigation. So
They won't be able to do that till the fire marshal takes a look. And understand, Chris Nyhart's the township's fire prevention officer.
And I understand what you're saying about it potentially being a nuisance law issue, but the thing is in your zoning, specifically, section 311 talks about temporary structures. Nowhere in the temporary structures does it say tent. It talks about mobile homes and things, and it even goes further in section C to talk about emergency uses. Once again, tents aren't in there. A temporary mobile home is allowed 18 months. A temporary summer structure is allowed 7 months. But either way, there's a $1,000 permit that you have to file for. And so to say that that's a nuisance issue, not a zoning issue, that would be a zoning issue if he's living with no sanitation, no water, no electricity, and staying in a tent on the property. That's a zoning issue because it's a violation.
Which, by the way, Paula Fortner called me yesterday to tell me that she got home and she noticed that their back garden hose was kind of laying towards the side of the property. She thought her husband Frank might have been using it, so she didn't say anything at the time. But when Frank came home, she asked if he was using it, and he goes, no. He walked out to find the hose was all the way over into David's yard where he was using it. And when he was pulling that back, he also noticed that David went up to their front porch and plugged in his electric line and ran extension cords all the way to his property.
Okay.
So they removed
Okay.
those all yesterday.
David, can I?
Well, go ahead, Neil, if you've
We've
got
got,
something to add.
and thank you for bringing a written complaint in. And Jeremy will get copies made or have Morgan get them to the rest of the trustees to see what you've had. But so you're aware this isn't the first complaint. And that's where David was referring to with Ryan. But the other complaint talks nothing about a civil protection order, fires, weapons, urination, in public, none of that. Their whole thing was from the standpoint, they're living there, they don't have utilities, and they're running a continuous garage sale. And that's the portion that Ryan may be checking into in terms of a zoning violation of running a commercial business, continuously, not just a typical yard sale that you do on a weekend and it's done. So it may be there, but based on what you've said, I would recommend that Ryan not go anywhere near that property without a deputy with him, because there'd be a risk. So you've talked with the sheriff, that's important. Our zoning inspector's already talked with the health department and the fire prevention officer on this as far as what they can do in their authority. Realize we're limited because ours is the zoning and property maintenance issues. But the one piece that I haven't heard mentioned here is if the sheriff's department, because most of them are trained to work with our mental health professionals, and it sounds like what you're describing is some substance abuse and possible mental health issues. and if they've been involved in any way.
We've told them multiple times he's a threat to himself and others.
Yeah, we've been
And
trying to
North Center
actually
has
get,
been there.
we tried to get some sort of community service to go look at. We tried to get the sheriffs involved. We tried to get the courts involved. Nobody's
Adult
literally done
Protective
anything.
Services, we've checked everything we possibly can because we're like, this man is getting to the point where something is going to happen. And obviously on July 3rd, his home burned down. And, you know, we were one of the first people to call. We sent our images and our videos to the state fire marshal. And, you know, he has not hit his rock bottom, and I'm afraid his rock bottom is going to be hurting me. And
The
in my
90
life.
later mailbox on fire that could have easily been him pouring gas on the side of our house.
And you've been in contact with the post office, because that's federal
Oh, yeah.
statute now.
And they
okay.
still have taken no action now in almost 3 months.
We keep running into a lot of brick walls, red tape, and people telling us, you need to talk to them, you need to talk to them. No, you need to talk to them.
Well,
So
the-
it's,
Yeah, Cassidy, some of it'll be, as David alluded to, with family members, if you know there is a family member, and if you have those contact information, then possibly that can be shared with the sheriff's department. 'Cause
We
the
know that
issue is-
his sister's already involved, so I don't,
So, well, then if she's involved,
I don't know who she is, but I know the neighbors have reported
okay,
that
if
she's
she's
been
involved, she can reach out to the local support services, which in Lorraine County, we've got our Mental Health and Addiction Recovery Services Board, but most likely they would reach out to one of the agencies that are funded. And the agency that is closest to us and most funded is Rivian, former Nord Center, but Rivian, which is a combination, provides both the behavioral health, mental health, and substance abuse, but they're not going to come in unless they're invited in.
Nord Center has already been over to his property.
And
They've
we've-
already been there?
Yes.
And we've already specifically requested 5190s on multiple occasions when he was drunk and disorderly. There's no reason they shouldn't have held him for 72 hours.
Some of these,
When he went over there, when they went there, was there a concern that it was a dangerous situation? In this case, it's in Lorraine County Sheriff's
We
jurisdiction.
don't know because they won't communicate anything to us. We've had zero updates from anybody that said that they would follow up with us and it was on their responsibility to follow up. Nobody,
the
not sheriff
prosecutor's
office, not a
office-
prosecutor, not, nobody.
Yeah, there's some privacy issues there, but typically.
No, this is them stating exactly what they're going to do to follow up with us and what needs to be done, and they will not execute or follow up on any of that. There's no accountability or responsibility. The judge that heard our one case, she was very clear throughout the whole thing, the hearing. She made it clear that his probation excluded him from using the road in front of our property at all. He would go around and use Middle Ridge, the cut through in Middle Ridge to go around it. He's continuously violated that dozens of times on camera, neighbors, witnesses. She specifically stated, put him on a 2-year probation with no drugs or alcohol, and specifically said in court, if he violates his probation or the restraining order, she'll immediately issue a Class 4 felony because all of his charges are enhanceable, and she'll file a warrant immediately for his arrest. Still no action has been taken, even though he's been in front of her again at court multiple times, or at least his case was.
Yeah. Well,
He's been in front of her 4 times this past month. Well, he was supposed to be in front of her multiple times, but missed his court dates, and they continued them all till July 22nd. They also closed a case, which we are both parties to this protection order right here, and they have not notified us of anything and kept us notified.
They being the courts.
Yes.
Okay.
You're
So-
25 days since that house burned down at this point.
Yep.
Yeah. So you've got a guy over there who's not showering. He has no place to put his
Feces.
fecal matter. He is drunk.
The septic system has been working for well over a year.
Yeah,
and
when
he
you're
was
dealing
using
with
it
the
to
health
point that-
department, Ryan's been in contact with the health department and said what our authority is limited. And so we can do is make the reference, which has already been done, to the fire prevention officer and the health department, and then whether there is a zoning violation in operating a business in a residential area. That's
So-
the limitation we have. As I said, I would not have our zoning inspector go over there without protection based on the other thing that you mentioned. But when was your civil protection order, when was your stalking and protection order put in place?
The initial one was put in place
Was it before or after the fire?
before, long
Okay,
before.
so this has been going on, this has nothing to do with the house being burnt down, that's just all additive since then.
Yeah, this has
So
been
your
going
real
on
issue
since
is-
August 10th of
Okay,
2024.
your real issue is a criminal issue that's there. And the frustration is, and maybe there's limitations that we don't understand, that it's with the criminal justice system, which includes all law enforcement and also the courts, is how they're handling the
Yeah,
situation.
there's definitely health code violations, zoning violations with the barn have been there for years. We've been told the barn's coming down next week, and the barn's still half fallen down. I know, Jeremy Watson, you've stated that you've run past the property previously, and you know the conditions of the lot that the firemen were working against. And like, you know, a hoarder's house is not an easy thing to deal with. But at this point in time, like, this guy is going to end up hurting somebody to the point of fatality or hurting himself to the point of fatality. And
Well, what we can do when the copy's here, Ryan, all he can do is pursue the zoning issue and ask the health department to come in and the fire prevention officer. But he doesn't have, you know, it's notifying them to take action. That's the township's portion of authority, which is limited. Those other items, it sounds like your biggest issue here is a safety concern, which is a criminal justice system. You know, we can certainly make inquiries with the sheriff's department. You know, they will be in touch if there is a probation officer involved in this. But beyond that, there's not a whole lot more we can do.
is there a procedure for condemning the property or his home?
That would become the health department,
Okay.
that it's uninhabitable. You know, that's pretty much where it is, and it's a sheriff as far as if you've got a homeless individual, but you know how that is. If a person's living there on the property, you're going to push them off, you know, unless they do something criminal, which sounds, you're saying they have.
Done a lot.
And that's where it's up to law enforcement to take the appropriate action.
He is literally drunk all the time. At any point in time, his probation officer or the sheriff should be able to go over there and immediately violate him.
Yeah,
Yet they still won't take any action, and they
They've
still
been
won't arrest
there
him.
while he is rolling marijuana and drinking, and like, they're like, well, it doesn't say in your protection order what she said in court, so now, instead of freedom of information, I have to pay money to then get the transcripts of the court proceedings and ask for an updated copy of our order, because we don't have anything that states what she stated in court. So they haven't been able to
There were no
do,
court transcripts, no court recorder there.
Well, you can, but it's a fee.
yeah, they're charging me a
Yeah.
fee, so much for Freedom of Information Act, because it's.
I mean, my ability to
FIDO.
walk was given to this country, you know, in service to this country. But I have to now pay fees to get paperwork.
How much is it?
How much is my ability to walk?
No,
It's
for the
priceless.
fee to get the paperwork from the court.
Anywhere between $75 and $7,000. It depends on how many pages it is.
Ours is 10 cents after you get the first 10 free, and it's a dime, but
But no, and I understand that, and I understand that's a bureaucratic process that has to be addressed elsewhere. My frustration right now, currently, being here at the township, is to hear a trustee say, well, all we can do is zoning issues. We're not going to look at zoning issues because our zoning inspector has already referred it to the health department. But
no,
the
I didn't
health
say
de-
that. What I
I'm
said
sorry,
was, our zoning inspector will continue to look at to see if there's general business use being conducted in a residentially zoned area, but I would suggest he not go over there without being accompanied by law enforcement. That's what I said we would do in terms of zoning. He's also contacted our fire prevention officer. He can't take action directly, but he contacted the right individual. Is there an issue here that can be done with the fire prevention officer? I imagine that's limited. And he's also contacted the health department. Is this a health issue where you declare it's uninhabitable and now there's an individual there, and that's up to the health department? But we have no authority in terms of those other areas or in the criminal part. All we can do is the zoning portion. And that's what he's taking action on.
What I'm asking you is, section 311 of your zoning, what I'm looking for.
Regulations.
Your zoning regulations that the three of you, I'm assuming the fourth would had done it as well, agreed and adopted. And it is adopted on many places, but it talks about temporary buildings in 311. I'm not making that up, that is your information. Nowhere does it say anything about the tent. It does talk about a $1,000 fee, you know, to get a performance bond, and it talks about limited use, and it talks about emergency use. Nowhere in there is tent. It does talk about the amount of time they can do it with approved sanitary facilities shall be provided. Now, if that's in your zoning law, who approves the sanitary facilities?
If it's on-lot system, which this is, that's Lorraine County General Health Department.
That's the health department that
That's the
would
health
approve.
department.
Okay, and then the next question goes into definitions. You all have definitions for dump, but not for open dump. And if you look in your, once again, your zoning regulations. Your zoning regulations, 313, prohibited uses, subsection D, open garbage dumps, landfills, or storing or disposing of demolition materials. Demolition materials would be a burnt down house that he's now going into and pulling stuff out at his leisure.
Including the barn that's been
The
dilapidated
barn that's
for
behind his
over a
house that's
dozen
now
years.
fallen down and touching the next door neighbor's property barn. Like it's collapsed enough that it's laying against the other barn. Those would be, in my opinion, a dump. Or, according to your regulations, those would be hazardous, materials. Those would be
Yeah, well,
waste
that's,
materials.
yeah, you're cutting fine lines here where somebody's had a house fire. That probably
the barn
doesn't
is
have
not related to the
insurance.
house
The barn
fire.
wasn't part of the house fire?
Well, the barn's gonna be separate as an accessory use, but I'm not so certain that would be classified as a dump. But our
The
zoning
neighbors have been trying to
inspector
do
is
something
working
about
on
it for
this
years.
based on a previous complaint. Your complaint was just walked in this evening, so nobody's
I
seen
didn't walk
this.
anything in, sir. I rolled in.
Oh, the complaint Jeremy has here, somebody walked in. None of the rest of us have seen this. This is the first we're hearing about it. I'm explaining that from a previous complaint we received for the same property, and our zoning inspector's already explained what he's done, and he's going to do what he can within his realm of authority. But what
Which
you
is
guys
why I
are,
asked for clarification on the definition of the words on your zoning. That's what I asked for. I asked your zoning inspector that, and he said, I don't know.
yeah, well,
I asked Mr. Watson that, and he said, that's something we'll look at.
yeah, well, again, you're trying to get that an accessory building that's dilapidated, is it a dump, is it hazardous, again,
I would state that it's concerning to me that this is the first time you've heard about it since I've been in touch directly with Jeremy about the
What I-
escalating issue since May 18th.
What
again,
we
it's
need
the
to
first-
do is bring it up with Ryan. We're gonna go through things, go through the individual complaints, find out what we can and can't do.
They brought a complaint in tonight, David,
Yes,
so Brian
yeah.
will look at that, but
We'll
your
look at
number
that.
one concern is safety.
Correct.
And that primarily is, as
Criminal
Neil said,
justice.
criminal. We have no control over that. Call the police is the sheriff in the township. That's who's gonna come over. Pass a law,
As you'll see
Creatures under the
attached
state.
when it gets to you, there's about 24 police reports there for you
yeah.
from the sheriff's.
You're on the right track. The thing is, you get the courts to do things.
So what
Because,
escalations do you have with the sheriff department? And according to the bailiff, you have the ability to escalate with the Oberlin court systems. So
Well, that's a he said, she said. What we can do is we'll
that's
call
information that's
Sheriff
being provided by
Hall.
government offices
Yeah,
and by
we'll call
elected-
Sheriff Hall. We will do that. But
We've got it.
that may not bring you satisfaction to what you want. You need criminal justice to take action for what your real concern is.
It just
The only
is-
thing we can handle is the zoning issue.
It's fragmented here. When you're in a township, there are different levels of government that do different things. We're basically a creature of the state. A lot of the regulations we have or don't have is because of what goes on in Columbus, and then we administer those. Our law enforcement comes through the sheriff. We don't have our own police department, and the laws that are being enforced are the state laws. They're not. There's very few township regulations that the sheriff would enforce. Most of those laws that they're enforcing are by the state. We can't do a lot. There's some things we can do. We're not the king. We don't have absolute power. We're one of a different layer. There's the county, the health department. They do certain things. Okay, that's another layer. We'll try. We'll try.
When can we expect an update?
We'll do what we can.
Well,
But there's a lot that we can't do. And I don't want you guys to get your hope up and say, I came here, I went before the king, and he couldn't do anything. Well, the king doesn't have the authority to do things.
Well, there is no
Certain
king.
things. That's all.
we
But-
understand what legally is possible as we've taken every legal resource that we can and taken action on it for going on years now. So, it's one thing that apparently that the courts see that it's just us complaining about one neighbor. It certainly would maybe matter a lot more when they realize it's a whole community that's concerned about the neighbor. It's not us. It's all of our neighbors. Paula and Frank wouldn't even file the theft against the electricity and water because they don't want to be his next target. And those are criminal charges to easily cite. People do not want to have themselves put in jeopardy.
I'll call the sheriff tomorrow, Sheriff Hall, and I'll get back to you tomorrow night. I'll see if a phone call does anything, try to get some information,
Appreciate
and
that.
get back
Work
to you
on
and
that.
Okay.
give you an update.
And do you have any advice as to the prosecutor refusing to do their actual job in, staying in contact with me?
They are supposed to absolutely work with the victims that are being, that they're prosecuting crimes against, and they won't even respond or provide a call.
I've tried 4
6
times.
messages that we've left, 4 direct callbacks, 2 from me, 4 from her, and we have not received a single call or had the ability to talk to the prosecutor once. And there is approximately at least 9 outstanding criminal charges that could all be taken directly against him that are all on record with the sheriff's office that the courts or the local sheriffs or the city of Amherst have done nothing about. So what do we do? Just keep standing around waiting for the system that doesn't work?
My
Or can we
honest
get enough
question
people
is,
that care
Who
to
does
start
he
making it
know?
work?
And how much money do they have? Because he's been getting away with this for far too long.
The yard sale itself, I know, has been an issue with the township before. You guys shut it down or tried to before I moved onto property right around 6 years ago. And that's when he was running his month-long garage sales or yard sales during the spring, summer. But for at least 3 years now, it's been an ongoing yearly yard sale with his trash and his signs out there every single day. And nobody has ever taken up any issues, even though it's been reported and complained on by multiple neighbors.
With our current zoning inspector, Ryan, this complaint you received from McNabb's, that's your first complaint?
I would have to look through my folder,
Okay.
but I know I only have one.
Okay, well, that's one, you haven't seen this one yet, nobody has. And just don't want things to get confused. If Jeremy's gonna call the sheriff, now you're in that funny situation, what are you doing? It's probably best if this is all scanned, and maybe Morgan, you can get it all scanned so it can be emailed to the sheriff so that we've got a record of what was done and when. And any action you take, do not go over there without the sheriff by your side.
Fire chief told me the same thing.
Yeah, good, well, then he already knows.
Yeah.
Okay, and we've been in these situations in other homes in the past. So this isn't anything new, it's just yours gets a little more complicated because there's actually been what you would perceive as threats on your person and your property. Again, that's going to come down to criminal justice.
He's a daily threat to other people.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
just
we'll work
last
with-
week alone, the neighbor had him on camera walking down the middle of Rice Road, leaving a trail of empty beer cans and food trash while he was literally
That's
walking
fine,
down
but
the middle of
again,
the road.
our contact is just going to be notifying the sheriff. We can't take action. As far as calling the judge, that's not going to, the judge isn't going to do anything for us here. It's the sheriff that has the authority and responsibility for enforcement of the law.
And the prosecutor.
And the prosecutor is the one that determines what the charges are. The enforcement is the sheriff's department in a township.
Well, last I heard, Carl Felice was not planning on moving forward with any more charges against David.
So it's a matter of making sure that these charges stick and he meets whatever, again, I haven't seen what you presented here. Whatever's in that order is what they can enforce.
Yeah.
You know, but again, that's not going to be the township, that's going to be the sheriff. Ours is going to be the contact, what we can do on zoning, we can take action, but we aren't going to do that without the sheriff by our side. Beyond that is notifying the other entity that can take action. And Ryan's already notified because of a different complaint, not your complaint. You know, as I said, this complaint didn't include the safety, personal and property safety concerns you have. So the fire prevention officer and the health department have already been notified. This might just be additional information for them to use because now you've added a safety concern. A personal and property safety of yours, not his. You know, and hopefully the family members get in there where they can get the right help, because it does sound like this individual needs help.
Severely.
Thank you.
Well, anything else to come? Well, we need to move on. We're a half hour past due. We were scheduled to have a public hearing at 7:30 on a proposed zoning change. That's what it was advertised for. It is now 8 o'clock. I regret that we're running behind. Now 8:01. I will recess the meeting and call the public hearing for the proposed zoning change in order. Okay, the proposal, get my paper here, all written out, there you go. The purpose of the public hearing is to hear public comment on a proposal to rezone approximately 1.73 acres, permanent parcel number 0500016101-072 from RAG Residential Agricultural to LI Light Industrial. Said property is located at 7600 Pile South Amherst Road, Amherst, Ohio. It's located in Amherst Township. The proposed rezoning is initiated by the property owner, Big Happy 60 LLC. Okay, the Lorraine County Community Development Department staff in a memo dated June 15th, 2026, recommended to disapprove the proposed rezoning. In a letter dated June 25th, 2026, the Lorraine County Community Development Department notified Amherst Township Zoning Commission that the Lorraine County Planning Commission met on June 25th, 2026, and voted to disapprove the proposed amendment to the zoning resolution. In a letter dated July 8th, 2026, the Amherst Township Zoning Commission informed the Amherst Township trustees that the Amherst Township Zoning Commission met on July 7th, 2026, and a motion to amend the zoning map from residential agricultural to light industrial for permanent parcel 050016-101-072 was denied by a vote of 5-0. At this time, the Board of Trustees would invite the property owner to further explain and make comment on the proposed rezoning. I don't see a representative, who is that, Rob Portman? I don't see anyone here for Big Happy. No one's here from Big Happy to propose this. This parcel located on the curve on South Amherst Road, going just south of the city of Amherst. As a matter of fact, I think it's bordered on the north by the city of Amherst. Part of it is on bank, and there was some history of attempting to dump items there. What you do have in your packet, well, we'll go to that in a moment here. What you do have in your packet is the Planning Commission recommendation, the Zoning Commission recommendation. We don't have anyone from the property owner here. Is there anyone else in the audience here for this zoning change? Give comment, either for or against. There's no one in the audience. At this time, I would invite members of the board to give comment either for or against the proposed rezoning of that parcel.
Yeah, we went through everything at the other meeting. I think it was essentially a mistake what he was applying for.
And I agree, David, going to light industrial within an area that's completely surrounded by residential, I'm not going to support that.
I believe also one item that you forget, if you go to light industrial, you're opening yourself up for any permitted use in that district, so every use in that district would be permitted on that piece of property. And the property is not that large, it's in the middle of a residential area, as you said. That would be a problem. The Planning Commission, Lorraine County Planning Commission, dated June 26th, their letter voted to disapprove the proposed amendment to the zoning resolution. The zoning commission will need to refer to the one-page staff review for specific recommendations. Okay, that one-page review was the proposed use is a storage barn for equipment and outdoor storage of plants alone. Most adjoining properties on the northwest of Pyle Road are located in the city of Amherst and zoned low-density residential, R3. The property across the street is in Amherst Township and zone RAG. All of the adjacent properties are developed residentially according to the zoning with a wooded floodplain behind the property. Since there are no adjacent industrial uses, the staff recommendation is to disapprove the amendment. If the township is not opposed to this specific use, they can consider creating a conditionally permitted use. However, most light industrial uses are not compatible with residential, and rezoning would permit any light industrial use on that property. That was their recommendation. The zoning commission's recommendation was motion to deny amending the Amherst Township zoning map to rezone parcel number 0500-016-101-072, located at 7600 South Amherst Road, Amherst, Ohio, in Amherst Township, from residential agricultural to light industrial. This motion is made in an open meeting after public comment and the recommendation of the Lorraine County Planning Commission were considered and are for the purpose of promoting the public health, safety, and morals in accordance with Amherst Township Comprehensive Plan, ORC 51902. Okay. Notice from the Zoning Commission dated July 8th, that on July 7th, the Amherst Township Zoning Commission met in a public hearing to consider the proposed amendment. that was initiated by the property owner, and a motion to amend the zoning map from residential agricultural to light industrial for parcel number 0500016101072, located at 7600 Powell South Amherst Road, Amherst, Ohio, in Amherst Township, was denied by a vote of 5-0. That's pretty much the history on that. Express opposition. Do you have anything further, Jeremy?
Nope.
Do you have anything further, Neil?
No.
Anything further from the audience on this parcel? Okay, if there's nothing further at this time, no further comments on this, no comments from the public, then I will adjourn or close the public hearing. And we can return to the regular meeting. Okay. You have in your packet a resolution pertaining to I have that resolution here somewhere pertaining to the annexation, not annexation, pertaining to the zoning amendment, proposed zoning amendment, and at this time, what I
Mind
would,
to read, David?
yeah, that's quick. It should be in here somewhere. Oh, that's yours. That should be here somewhere. Go through 3 meetings and it's about driving me nuts. My apologies.
Did you put one on Chris's pile?
Not, just let me borrow that. At this time, I would make a motion to propose the map amendment to rezone approximately 1.73 acres, permanent parcel number 0500016101072, 7600 Powell South Amherst Road, from RAG residential agricultural to light industrial, initiated by the property owner, Big Happy LLC. I will make the motion that in the interest of the public health and safety, the zoning commission recommendation to deny the map amendment to rezone permanent parcel number 0500016101072, located at 7600 Powell South Amherst Road, Amherst, Ohio, located in Amherst Township, from residential agricultural to light industrial, initiated by the property owner, Big Happy LLC, shall be denied.
Second.
Wait a minute.
He's got a
To
second.
deny the map shall be, oh, wait a minute. Let me rephrase that. That, in the interest of else, the recommendation to deny the map amendment shall be adopted. We're adopting the zoning commission's recommendation. I apologize.
You're going to read section 2 then also.
Yeah, in the interest of the public, in the interest of the public convenience, comfort, prosperity, and general welfare, the zoning commission recommendation to deny the map amendment to rezone 1.73 acres, permanent parcel number 0500016101072, located at 7600 Powell South Amherst Road, Amherst, Ohio, located in Amherst Township, from RAG to LI, initiated by the property owner, Big Happy LLC, zone. Deny the map. Shall be. Will adopt the zoning commission's recommendation. which is to deny it. It is found and determined that all formal actions of the trustees are relating to the adoption resolution were adopted in an open meeting.
I ready to second.
Yeah.
Okay. Motion's been made and okay. And that would be 7 20, I believe. Where we're at. 2026. I believe so. Okay. Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Oh, roll call. Euring, yes. Watson?
Yes.
Lynch?
Yes.
That's, all right. Nothing else? Well, let's see what we have here.
Going to move back to
Oh,
correspondence.
yes, we're going to move back to correspondence. Under correspondence, I have one piece of correspondence filed from Severs and Clark. Chris Kish, fiscal officer, pursuant to section 709.023 of the Ohio Revised Code. Please take notice that on July 20th, 2026 at 11:42 a.m., the undersigned, as agent for Builders and Developers Company Incorporated, filed a petition for a Type 2 expedited annexation to annex 65.2559 acres of property having been assigned Lorraine County permanent parcel numbers 0500 071 000 073 and 0500 090 000 from Amherst Township to the city of Elyria, Ohio. A true and correct copy of the petition that was filed with the Lorraine County Board of Commissioners, together with all attachments and documents accompanying the petition for annexation, is attached here too. Okay, that is what I have under correspondence. Do you have anything to bring forward?
None under correspondence.
Jeremy, do you have anything further?
Well, just on this particular item, David, for this proposed annexation, there is a prepared resolution here, and I'd just like to state, and I'm not going to go through the details, it's over 65 acres, the parcel numbers are listed, and you've already mentioned them, but pursuant to revised code subsection 709.023D as in David, the Amherst Township Board of Trustees objects to the proposed annexation, and notice of this objection shall be filed with the Board of Lorraine County Commissioners within 25 days after the date the petition was filed, such petition filing date being July 20th of 2026. The rest is all boilerplate, but I'm making that motion to object.
Second. Motion been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion on this? Anything at all?
There will be a lot of discussion, but I think at this time, we definitely just, not something we're in support of, and I'll definitely,
You get an annexation that's any annexation is like a death knell to the township. It's death by 1,000 bites. You lose a little here, a little there, and before you know it, you don't have a township anymore. So definitely we object to any annexation. and anything we can figure out to fight, we will. If there's a way to, stop it, we would try. If there's a way to negotiate out of it, we will try. Anything, trying to keep the township intact. It's our territorial integrity, it's our tax base, it's many things, and it's just a big negative for the townships. Okay. Did we have roll call on that?
Not yet.
Okay. Roll call, Lynch?
Yes.
Watson?
Yes.
Gehrig, yes.
The number on that one, David?
Well, let's see, I think we were at 721, I believe.
As I said, I'll correct the editing on this and get it to Chris so that a certified copy can be filed with the clerk of the Lorraine County Board of Commissioners.
Okay, now let's see, for the good of the order. Let's see what we got there. Reports. Ambulance service. Do we have anything further on it?
Nothing new to report.
On
Nope.
we don't have a next ambulance board meeting. Okay. Sheriff's Department, there's no deputy in attendance. Fire Prevention Officer, Chris Nyhart is not here. Zoning Inspector, Ryan Valentin, do you have a report?
Yeah, year-to-date, total permits, we have 141. We've collected $156,912, with the total park fee at $19,000. We're still going, we still have ongoing investigations with the complaints that have coming in, working through those. That's pretty much all I have.
Now you're going to get friendly with the sheriff.
Yeah.
Anything else to come before the board? Or, I mean, anything else you want to
No,
bring
nothing else
forward,
for me.
right? Okay, roads, parks, and cemeteries.
All regular maintenance ongoing smoothly. We had a sewer repair on Allendale and turned into a catch basin repair. But on our side, we had everything taken care of. The resident has a problem on their side that they possibly have taken care of by now. We sold a lot and an open and close in Kendig Corners in Section 4. And been doing a bunch of tree trimming, tons of tree trimming. And I have slated, as of right now, 4 catch basins that there'll be 1 full replacement and then 2, there'll be 4 of them that will just be top adjustments redone, but then all concrete poured back. And I have a driveway that I'll be pouring at the same time, where we put some tile in on D Drive. There was a big branch at the end of Moss Canyon that fell off a dead tree that is in the right-of-way right at the end of the road. And at the end of that road, there was a bunch of other brush, debris that was left there. We got the big branch cut up and all the other debris and brush and garbage. We got that all cleaned up, and it is slated for Edwards then to take that tree down because it is dead. It's in really bad shape, and it's right there, right next to the guardrail and right on the edge of the road. So that's going to be out of there. As in the truck, Neil, did you happen to look and see if there was any bids in?
Any, what's that?
Any
No, there's no bids yet that I'm aware of.
Okay, so I've reached out to the salesman. He's not called me back, and I had stopped in and even left a message with their front desk. So, but I did leave some information there. But, I'm going to try to reach out again to him tomorrow and just keep going from there. Other than that, that's all I have.
All right, thanks, Kevin. Just,
Okay.
Morgan, so you're aware that trees talking about Moss Canyon, that'll be the same thing as it comes in, make sure that's paid with the grant funds. And that is definitely a safety issue, because the one neighbor warns everyone, don't park there. And now here, finally, one of the branches came down.
Yeah. It's bad.
Okay, Senior Services Township Administrator, Orozco, Ms. Orozco.
Hello. Okay, all I have is that we'll be receiving the second quarter fire reports. That should be coming in on Friday. And then when I receive those, I will send you guys an email. And that I'm also waiting on the Ohio Rebels and the soccer league for Amherst for their AED cost sharing. And that's about it.
Okay. And let's see what we've got. Trustee reports. Jeremy, do you have anything to bring forward at this time?
Yeah, just a couple follow-ups. Under the cemetery business, I saw you had sent that email out. I just wanted to bring it up. There's some grant money for training around cemeteries. Is that something we're interested in, or we don't have a use for? Yeah, okay. And then with the park, so just to confirm, all the grant money was spent on the tree removal. We're not doing the electric in the pavilions anymore.
No, that doesn't prevent that.
Oh, we still do have money for that?
Right.
Okay.
It was just, there was a small amount that remained that had to be spent in 2026. The next round actually is 2027 deadline. So those funds are still available for that
gotcha.
work.
Okay. Did we ever get a quote on those?
No, we
Okay.
have not, and I talked the other day, and I heard I'm getting there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll definitely stay on them. We're definitely going to get a quote one way or another, so
Okay.
it's
And
still
then
rolling.
I have just another little project in the park I wanted to just meet you over there and look at. I was at the South Amherst Park the other day. They have this cool little, it's like a little 3x3 shed. And then they just have like little footballs and frisbees and stuff in it, just for like public use. You can borrow it and put it back. Maybe if we pick out something like that, maybe a Boy Scout project, Girl Scout project, something like that we could look at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's all I have, David.
Okay. Neil, do you have anything to bring forward under reports?
I do, David, and I had emailed you the written report. The first one, the Quarry Creek Drainage Project, the only update is in item 6, shown up here and highlighted. Some of the residents had asked that as opposed, since the township's not putting any money in, the residents themselves are providing the grant match, if they could do it with a property tax assessment or some sort of payment. So I was in contact with Don Romanchak, Lorraine County Stormwater District manager, and he's been in contact with the prosecutor's office, so they're trying to work out the options and which option is best there for the residents that need it. The other thing that's not up here, because it came up after I had printed the report, is one of the residents that's made a significant investment to try and improve their drainage, and they had some improvement, but it's still without an outfall. It doesn't resolve the problem. Is they're hoping that their private system can be connected into the 10-inch public line. I told them we can't commit to that because they did not have as-built drawings from their contractor, which was from several years ago, but the engineer here, which is Adam Cooksey from Lorraine Soil and Water Conservation, if it works out in the elevation, he can connect it, he will connect it. He will make sure that they, once they show him the approximate location, that they minimize any disruption of that, because it'd be nice to have both work together. But, you know, that land is pretty flat, and he already would have preferred a 12-inch tile, but because of the minimum slope going through there, which I believe is around 1%, they couldn't even go up to 12-inch, so they went with a 10-inch. So they know it'll drain slower than what design should be, but it's all they can do to maintain ground cover and ensure there's no damage. But he's going to look at that, so it's not in the report, but that happened since this report was put out. Roads and ditches, we had round 40. We were notified on July 3rd that our projects were approved by the Ohio Public Works Commission, and as of Shortly after that, all of the documentation was signed and entered into WorkWise, and the way our resolution 6926 read, that upon that completion, that the work could be scheduled. And I assume maybe you've already, Kevin, notified Dennis Concrete, which had the best bid, that they can get that scheduled so we can get that work done.
Yeah, I have talked to them, and they are scheduling it, and just because it's talking right now, I will be receiving your all signatures tonight for the contracts.
Okay, good. And then for round 41, this will actually be for 2027, 2028 projects, as Kevin has identified 2 projects, and that information has been emailed to you. This would be a 310-foot on both lanes, so this is full depth repair of concrete on gray bark from residential locations 131 to 127, an estimated cost just a little over $171,000, and 260 feet on Oak Knoll Drive from residence 446 to 440 at an estimated cost of a little over $147,000. Both of these projects have 2 catch basins. There, Kevin, I neglected to mention to you, well, same thing, we'll need the photos and whatnot on those. There will actually be 2 grants that we'll be applying for. We'll be applying both for the Ohio Public Works Commission funds. We'll also be applying for the Stormwater Mini Grant. Hopefully we get awarded both of those. We'll be working through with Morgan, who's going to become our replacement township administrator since Linda has retired. This will be our first time going through the whole process of completing one of these grants and entering into WorkWise. And Jeremy, I'll leave this as an opportunity for you. You're going to need to learn on filling out some of these grants yourself. So it might be if we can arrange a time. I mean, we won't be discussing anything other than this grant, so it won't be a meeting, but just working with Morgan, you can look over how this scoring works and where we put ourselves in a position, because these are competitive grants. There's no guarantee we'll get them. But the way I did this right now, I just put it in a table format. There are 2 items here that we actually have wiggle room, if you will. One is how much money we ask for from the Ohio Public Works Commission. And of that money that we ask for, how much we expect to be loan money. And in this case, being concrete, they'd be a 20-year term at 0%. And those give us different points. The maximum you can get in each category of those 2 items is 5 points. But I put it as at 4. So I'm asking for a little bit more money, but just, you can see for each project what the breakdown would be in terms of the total project cost, OPWC grant, OPWC loan, Stormwater Mini Grant, and what Amherst Township's contribution would be. So essentially, overall, if we were successful in receiving both projects, it would be just under $180,000 in township funds coming out of the road fund. That represents 56.29% of the total project cost. So I'm not sure, David, I'm going to look to you. Do you have any issue with us going through with this amount? Because realize I've tried to give where we can get the maximum number of points in scoring here, but I didn't go all the way up to 5. Realize as soon as I do that, that means reducing the amount of grant requested, increasing the percentage of loan amount, which we have to pay back, albeit at, future dollars versus today dollars over 20 years. But I wanted to optimize this, and I think in this case, still gives us a reasonable chance of maybe getting approved. It's real hard to get approved in a subdivision with low traffic volume.
What if we can max what we get as grant from them?
Well, you
The
can ask for
point
more
of-
grant money, but as soon as you ask for more grant money, it drops your point score.
Well, there's a balance there, Neil.
So
And I
you're
think
o-
you grasped that there's a balance.
So you're okay with what I'm asking for here?
I believe I
Because I mean, we got to get working on these things.
No,
They're due
we have to get that out.
September
That's due
4th, and we got to get them the
September.
county engineer prior to that first. If they agree it's okay, then we enter it into WorkWise on September 4th. So there's not a lot of time here. I know it's July 28th, but September 4th will sneak up on you real fast. The chip and seal road projects there, is everything's set. Kevin's working on trying, he didn't mention it, but he's working on getting some base repair. I believe you're working with Griffith Paving. That has to be done first before it can be chipped and sealed. But that is scheduled to be completed September 15th. And, you know, the only wiggle room there is where they start the north part or south part, since this was a bid county-wide for our particular roads. And the roads are all listed there. I'm not going to go through that. We discussed those before. I'm still working on the petition, albeit between some of the other work that I've just mentioned and some coming up, is I have not been out in the past 2 weeks on getting more signatures on the transfer responsibility of Oberlin Road from the township to the county, but I will get that completed and get it to the county. The new plow truck, Kevin did ask about that plow truck. Keep in mind that the estimate right now, and this is based on ODOT bid prices to get fully outfitted plow truck at the capacity we need, would be about $274,000. That would come from the road fund. To encourage good cash flow, we are going to try and do this on a 7-year lease purchase agreement. And the bid opening is scheduled, so David, if you get this on the next agenda, is for 7:30 p.m. on August 11th.
That's for the truck, no?
That's for the truck, so
All right.
I just let you know, and I've got in the report, that'll be on the August 11th agenda, if you can add that on there. Golden Acres, just a reminder, we did have that roundtable discussion with multiple entities, was on July 6th. The next meeting is scheduled for August 6th at the county, but in between then, at the last meeting, there was discussion about having an actual walkthrough with the Metro Parks Director, Jim Zemanek, to look at where the best points of ingress and egress would be at the same time, since we want pathways, so it's also accessible and accessible to all people of all abilities, is trying to avoid some of the steep slopes that are in there. Commissioner Gallagher indicated that he'd want to go on that particular walkthrough also. So as a result of that, there were back and forth discussions, but we definitely wanted to have that walkthrough prior to the August 6th meeting. So that has been scheduled for July 31st. That is a commissioner meeting date, and so the timing is set to occur right after the commissioners meeting. I did suggest to Commissioner Gallagher's assistants, make sure he brings a change of clothes, because he's got to change from go to meeting clothes to go for a hike clothes, and there's some rough areas, so I will bring extra gloves, safety glasses, walking sticks, you know, bug spray, but they're going to have to supply their own boots and other things, because they'll be climbing over trees and walking. There's a minimum of 2 stream crossings they're going to have to make as they go through this. I did change things here, David, at the last meeting. I also had mentioned how Commissioner Gallagher had asked it to be beneficial if the township supported their support for trails. I know you had some reservations, and when I reported at the last meeting, I had the Golden Acres, Metro Parks, potential new Metro Park. I realize it's a very tenuous situation. There's a lot of dominoes that have to fall into place for this to happen. I had that combined with the potential Metro Parks multimodal transportation with Lakeshore Railway in one. So I've separated those because the Metro Park one, as you're aware, for this to occur would require rezoning by the township, which I think you have some concerns with. So since we couldn't get agreement for a single letter from the board to Commissioner Gallagher, it was recommended that we just write our individual letters of support. So, but now separating it, I'm hoping that you will support a letter from the board of the Metro Parks also working in concert with Lakeshore Railway as far as a Metro Parks trail, whether that's on part of the track itself or adjoining the track. You know, there's a lot of work that would have to be there. But just as we've done with Golden Acres, which we've worked on this for multiple years, but it's just the last 2 that it's really getting some action. is I'd like to get something started with Lakeshore Railway where there's real communication. And though Jeremy's going to hear this for the first time, is you've got parks, and realize this is going to be
Yeah.
long term.
I love this
I
project.
would want
yeah.
you to be the point,
Please,
you
yeah.
know, starting with Jim.
Mhm.
But I'm just hoping, David, that with that one, we can get your support, that you would support trails on that. Realize the land is all owned by Lakeshore Railway. We're not talking any rezoning, and this would
Just
comply with the
construct,
township's comprehensive land use
Just
plan.
construct a trail along the railroad. Right.
And it could be, that has to be worked out, and you recall when we went through our last comprehensive plan update and our zoning change, we invited Mark Chapo to every meeting, and including our thoroughfare plan. And I don't know if Mark's still involved, I hope he is, but he was the vice president of Lakeshore Railway Association at that time. And I will give you that contact information too, Jeremy, but I don't know if he's still involved. And I'll send, if I don't send it to you tonight, let me know and I'll make sure I get that texted over to you.
Okay.
But is that one you'll support? But if you do, I'll put together a letter for our next
Okay.
meeting. If
Yeah.
not, I don't want
For
to waste my
construction
time.
of a, yeah.
Okay, so that one I can bring next week, or 2 weeks from now, right? Okay.
Yeah, I love it.
All right, moving on then, Foundation Health Solutions, have you, Chris
I did.
has already
I
got
replied
back?
to her, yeah.
You did? Okay, good. David, did you get back to them? This is Foundation Health Solutions for the groundbreaking on the nursing home in Sandstone. They're trying to set a
To
date.
get that, no.
I'll get that done because I think some of the dates I put down are probably already passed. They're just trying to collect everyone and just let them know which dates you can make, and that'll be it. And if you can't all be there, that's fine too, okay? Lorraine County Township Association meeting was on July 16th. Key items in there, obviously Commissioner Gallagher gave a report on the HUD urban county designation, which took up a good part of the meeting. I'm not going to go over that. But for us, that meeting was originally set to be the Stormwater MS4 annual meeting. Well, there is a new permit, new general permit coming out from the EPA. It's OHQ 000005. Well, there's key changes of that. Remember, there's 6 minimum control measures that we have to comply with. Key changes, one doesn't affect us. Park districts are now going to be sucked into that. So good luck, Jim Zemanek and the Parks Board. Previously, they were exempt. Public education outreach, as you're aware, we have to give through each period, which tend to be 5-year periods. The EPA's been late before and they've extended it to 6, but within there, we have to give 5 minimum themes or messages in account for how many people we send it to. Well, the one change they've made is it's still going to be in the new permit. We have to do at least 5, but one of them must deal, and this is going to be more, Georgianne's going to have to make this change eventually, Morgan, this someday might come to you, is that one has to talk about proper salt storage, handling, and application practices to minimize environmental impacts. Now, Kevin already knows what he's got to do in terms of the covering of the salt, cleanup if they spill as they're filling the trucks out here, you know, what he does in metering it out. We don't do our concrete streets anymore like we used to, but we've actually got to put this out and notify the public. So we'll typically do that between the township social media site, maybe with a blast and then the newsletter. So one of those, which we tend to get, we always hit our target. And Kevin and Morgan, you're going to learn, we've got to do this annual report we get the request for, and it'll just be checked, yes, we met that condition, but this is a change. Another one is illicit discharge, which is one of the other 6 minimum control measures. The new permit requires outfall monitoring for the total maximum daily load limit for total phosphorus, nitrate, nitrite, and total suspended solids and fecal chloroform. You know, in the past, we had this monitoring, it's contracted out. When we joined with the county versus doing our own, as they tightened it in the previous updates, we have an engineering firm that monitors the outfalls, and they'll send us that report. It was predominantly for E. coli, which is one of the bacteria that can be in fecal chloroform, but now we actually have to monitor the levels of fecal chloroform. So that's the key change there in illicit discharge. And most of that's going to be in the situations where we don't have sanitary sewers, so our larger on-lot areas that are dealing with on-lot wastewater treatment facilities. Also in the pre-construction, this is kind of minor. It actually, to me, makes it easier. This is usually when we're dealing with developments in the pre-construction. So right now we've got it like what we've had going on with Sandstone. Previously we had with Hampshire Farms. There will be potential new developments coming in. You've got Stratton Corners going on right now at the southeast intersection of Overland Road and 113. Is that now there must be notification of the contractor's stormwater pollution prevention plan via letter or email. They finally, believe it or not, it took them this many years to allow email to be an acceptable method. To me, it should always be email because you have the timestamp and there's no doubt about it, who got it, when they read it. And then initial site inspections and site disturbances now, they gave a very specific time. It's now only 14 days. Typically we have, this is going to usually be the erosion and sediment control rules in compliance with the stormwater pollution prevention plan. That typically is going to be someone from the conservation district that's going out and doing those inspections. This change, Kevin, that affects you, actually you're going to keep doing it like you've always done. Pollution prevention, good housekeeping, those are our requirements. It used to be quarterly, now it's annually. Well, let's face it. You're going to continue to monitor the oil separator. You're going to continue to clean out the catch basin. You're going to monitor things when you know there's a big storm coming through. Get those things cleared off, knowing they're going to, all that debris is going to run down again. So get the stuff off now. Again, the use of salt leakage on any trucks, getting those repaired. So they actually lessen the standard here. I suspect it's because people weren't doing it. Four Seasons Sandstone, there was the phase 4. This was the mile away proof roll that was just this past Friday. I was able to attend that proof roll. It was actually, I didn't commit to it up front because I was out of town. I happened to roll in about a half hour before the proof roll was scheduled. This one, and typically the proof roll realized this is where you've got at least 60,000-pound weight and you travel 2 to 6 miles an hour. Standard pace for a human is 3 miles per hour, so this is really creeping along. And it was a large group there, and the geotech inspector with his paint can went all the way through the section from Sandstone Parkway to the current end of Mila Way that is all built out now, in Mark 1. So they had a successful proof roll. So they'll probably, Terminal Ready Mix has the contract there, and they were present. They said they will be pouring the concrete from the side so that they don't disturb what has just been tested. So they've agreed they will be pouring from the side, which is nice. Now you don't have concrete trucks running down there, and if they're racing, Kevin, and you know how it is, and they stop it, they just disturbed everything. So they will not have to put in stabilization. Stratton Corners, that's the 53.770. Oh, let me back up. On the phase 4 in Sandstone, that's going to be 49 additional homes. And from what we saw, we just rode our bikes through there. There was only one lot we saw left open. All the others are being built, so they're going to be hot to trot to get that done. We also went through the Sandstone Mill area. There might be one left open. That's a little different because they don't start construction till it's sold. They've got a buyer.
Yeah.
And we're not even sure if that one's open. It was just, there was no sign to say sold for sale. So I imagine, Kevin, they're going to be asking for the next phase and theirs also. But, that has to go through the county process. But the Stratton Corners there, you were at that one, Kevin. Do you want to mention what the results of that proof roll were?
Yeah, there were too many soft spots, too much deflection to it. There were some good solid spots, but there was too many bad spots, lack of a better term there, to try and piecemeal in the stabilization. So they're going to end up just stabilizing the whole area that they had proof rolled. So that did not pass. I've been going past there every day, and they have not gotten to the point where they put any stabilization in it yet. So that'll be happening.
I imagine they'll want to move quick, because just so you're aware, when I was at the proof roll for Four Seasons, I wasn't part of the conversation, but John Evanson, one of the developers, was there, and the discussion he was having with people was he had to get a large amount of soil moved and find a place for it. Well, I remember at one time, the developer for Stratton Corner said they might have a need for additional soil. So I did call him, and as a result of that, so he's going to check with his engineer. They're not sure now, since they've dug their detention basins, they may not need the soil anymore. But they're going to check on that. And those were the two between topsoil and or actually three, topsoil fill and some clay. So I don't know where that's going to go, but as a result of having that, I said, hey, I understand you didn't pass the proof roll, and he wasn't happy. He says, yeah, we're going to have to, Roseanne, the engineer, from Lorraine County Engineers, requiring the stabilization across that, which will cost them more money. But what he told me is he's expecting to get that done, and within 3 weeks after that, be paving. So you'll know once you see that done, another 3 weeks, if you let us know. Probably, Ryan, you're going to be seeing paving trucks running up and down Overland Road. And it'll be shortly after that, then they'll want to get moving on selling lots.
Yeah.
He did say, and this is the first time I've heard it, it will be Ryan Holmes for the builder. That's the first I've heard that.
Yeah.
Okay, before he was up in the air who the builder was going to be. The hydrants on Rice Road, that request, I haven't seen anything informal, and I told the resident that's also in the same area where this house fire was. As I said, put it in writing before we take any action on it, but I did let them know there's no guarantee. We typically, we put in some hydrants in other areas when we knew there was something else going on, usually with rural water, when they've added some lines, but typically it's when a new development comes in. We've been putting that requirement to make sure we have the additional hydrants to take off the load on the water truck that we have, so we don't have to be running the water shuttles. But it's something we'll look at if we can help, and it's financially within our ability to do it. One of the places we might get some of the funding here, if the county does get those extra funds as a result of the urban designation, this is one that would be eligible for safety. But, you run into that same, well, if we do it this part of the township, you're going to get that argument, what about the other area? But this area right now, with the availability of sanitary sewers, is probably a slim chance of anything soon. But you want to put it in an area where there's sanitary sewers and development going to happen. Because eventually a developer will be there and we will get the fire hydrants. The complaints, I'm going to skip the first one. Part of it's already been taken care of. The other one, we might work in conjunction with the stormwater management and the metro parks, but that could be longer term. The Lumos directional drilling, just so you're aware, and it was just in the news again yesterday, where in Columbia Gas, I'm sorry, not Columbia, it was in Twinsburg Township, they had a gas line struck and caused an explosion. Well, we reached out then to Columbia Gas and Amherst Fire Department, and that information has been forwarded to Mr. Schuster on July 13th, so I'm just going to close that particular complaint because Columbia Gas and our fire provider are pretty comfortable with the locations they've got, even though there have been some smaller gas lines, much lower pressure that have been hit. Still working with First Energy on the power disruptions on Rustic Hill there. I will give that resident a call back, but fortunately the power quality engineer did contact the resident directly. They still don't know if this is more than just the tree trimming. First Energy is not going to move up their tree trimming schedule, but they are scheduled to do that tree trimming this year. It'll just be in the summer, early fall is their current plan, but they realize there may be some other issue, and we've now identified where we know for sure the power disruption's occurring versus the immediate neighbors across the street and adjacent that are not having those disruptions. The fourth complaint there, Kevin's already addressed. That was with the resident where Lumos was staging and some of the debris that was left there. That's all been cleaned up. Lumos took care of that. They swept the street itself. Kevin's already mentioned the branch is taken care of. Morgan now knows when that comes in, we got to pay that with those grant funds. And just having been there was where we saw that that tree was an issue and there was some other illegal dumping, and Kevin's taken care of the illegal dumping. So that's the end of my report, David.
Okay. At this time, I have nothing to bring forward except from solid waste as a consortium. There was a meeting on the 15th. There was not a quorum, so it was not an official meeting, but at the meeting it did come out that what's being paid for fuel surcharge will increase for this quarter due to the increase in the fuel costs. Just to let residents know that you're going to see that. Okay, at this time, looking at that, do we have anything under complaints, corrective action, anything to add?
I think we've covered the complaints, and Jeremy's got the new one that'll get us.
Okay, under unfinished business, I have a signatory for iPanda. Okay, I would make a motion to authorize the township board chair or township administrator to sign any necessary documentation required by iPanda for the township website.
This is to make it for the ADA compliance?
Yes, they're going to do the ADA compliant, but they might have forms and whatnot requiring signatures, and that this chairman or the township administrator would be okay to sign it.
I'll second.
A motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? If no further discussion, roll call. Urick, yes. Lynch?
Yes.
Watson?
Yes.
Okay. Well, do we have anything else to bring forward for the board? I have nothing. Do you have anything to bring before the board, Jeremy? Neil?
No.
Okay, our next regular meeting will be August 11th, 2026, 7 p.m. at Amherst Township Hall. Work sessions as needed. No other audience concerns? No audience concerns. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Motion made and seconded. Watson?
Yes.
Urick, yes. Lynch?
Yes.
Okay, and we are at what time? 58:56.